Hello everyone, welcome back to the another lecture of this course. In this lecture, we will discuss thyristors. These are the contents of this lecture: Introduction to thyristor, Silicon Controlled Rectifier or SCR, Dieck, Triac and Unijunction Transistor or UJT. So we will discuss all these thyristors in detail. Introduction to thyristors. Thyristor was invented by William Shockley in 1950 at Bell Laboratory, and thyristor is a semiconductor switch used for high power and high voltage applications. Thyristor is the combination of thyratron and transistor. Thyratron is nothing, it is the vacuum or other gas filled tube, and this tube having anode, cathode and grid terminals. Therefore, the property of the thyristor is the mix-up of the properties of thyratron and transistor. Thyristors are used for high power and high voltage applications. It means the voltage, current and power ratings for thyristors are high. And these devices are used in power electronics, where we require different applications such as light dimmers, electric power control, speed control of electric motor, high voltage direct current or HVDC power transmission. And commonly used thyristors are SCR, silicon controlled rectifier, Dieck, Triac and UJT, unijunction transistor. These are the widely used thyristors for power electronics applications. Silicon controlled rectifier or SCR. So SCR having 4 layers, 3 junctions and 3 terminals. And the schematic for SCR is given here. It has 4 layers and 4 layers are arranged in the form of P and P and. 3 terminals: anode, cathode and gate. So anode is connected with the P type material, cathode is connected with the N type of material and gate is connected with the second P type of material. 4 layers creates 3 junctions. One junction is there, that is PN junction, junction 1, J1. Second junction is here, PN junction, and this junction is J2 junction. Third junction is here, that is PN junction, and its name is J3 junction. So current conduction in the SCR is possible if all these junctions are operating in forward wise. If any junction is operating in reverse wise, then there is no current conduction. And in this case, SCR is in off state. The wide use of SCR is to control the conversion of AC to DC for HVDC transmission. That's why these are called rectifiers. The logical symbol for SCR is given here, a PN junction diode, and here one extra terminal, that is the gate terminal. P side is connected to anode terminal, N side is connected to cathode terminal, and close to cathode terminal, third terminal is there, that is the gate terminal. If we want to look this SCR configuration in the form of transistor, then we can see there are 2 types of transistors, and these are PNP transistor and second one is NPN transistor. The arrangement is given here, PNP, NPN. So these 3 layers are behaving as a PNP transistor. while these three layers are behaving as a NPN transistors. So N and P, both layers are the common layers. So from this schematic arrangement, we can say SCR is the combination of PNP transistor and NPN transistor. And the working of the SCR is divided in three modes, and these three modes are forward blocking mode, forward conduction mode, and reverse blocking mode. So current conduction is possible only in forward conduction mode. Forward blocking and reverse blocking modes, there is no current conduction or SCR in off state for these two blocking modes. In forward blocking mode, the schematic arrangement is given here. We are applying a voltage between the anode and cathode terminals in such a way that the positive terminal of this voltage is connected with the anode and negative terminal is connected with the cathode. It means P side is connected with the positive terminal and N side is connected with the N terminal. Therefore, J1 and J3, these two junctions are operating in forward wise or simply passing the charge carriers. Here we are not applying any gate voltage. It means J2 terminal is operating in reverse wise. So there is no current conduction because J1 and J3 both are in forward wise while J2 in reverse wise. Because N is connected close to P side material and P side is connected close to N type material. That's why J2 in reverse wise. What small current is present here? Because of minority charge carrier movement. And if we want to plot the VI characteristics for forward blocking mode, then it looks like this. Applied voltage across the SCR, that is VAK. And due to application of VAK, current IK is on the vertical axis. Ideally, the current conduction is 0, but due to some minority charge carrier movement, there is leakage current, and this leakage current is called forward leakage current. That's why small current is present in forward blocking mode. So current conduction is possible if this J2 junction will be breakdown. So this junction is breakdown at particular voltage of VAK, and this voltage is called break over voltage. So when VAK is VO or greater than VVO, then there is break over or junction J2 will be breakdown. It means current conduction is started here. Then this SCR enters in forward conduction mode. Second mode is reverse blocking mode. The schematic arrangement for reverse blocking mode is given here. A voltage VAK is applied between anode and cathode terminals in such a way that negative terminal of this voltage is connected with the P side material and positive terminal of this voltage is connected with the N side material. It means N side is connected at higher potential, P side is connected at lower potential. That causes J1 and J3 in reverse wise. P side of J2 junction is close to N side of J3 junction, and N side of this J2 junction is close to P side of J1 junction. That causes J2 in forward wise, and here we are not applying any gate voltage. J1 and J3 are in reverse wise and J2 in forward wise. So this mode is the reverse blocking mode, and ideally there is no current conduction. But in reverse wise, we know there is a breakdown voltage. If applied voltage is greater than this breakdown voltage, then there is a large current flow. That's why the characteristic is given here, and it shows the response as we have seen in the case of normal PN junction diode. Initially, small current is present when applied voltage is greater than or equal to VVR, that is the breakdown voltage. Then there is a large current flow through this SCR. The third mode is forward conduction mode. And in forward conduction mode, current is flow through the SCR. The symmetric arrangement of forward conduction mode is given here. Voltage VAK is applied between anode and cathode terminals. And here we are also applying gate to cathode voltage in such a way that the junction J2 must operate in forward wise. So P side of J2 junction is connected with the positive terminal of gate to cathode voltage, and it creates the forward bias of J2 junction. J1 and J3, these are operating in forward bias because of application of this VAK voltage, where positive terminal of this VAK is connected with the P side of this J1 junction, while negative terminal of this VAK is connected with the N side of J3 junction, and that causes J1 and J3 in forward bias. So in forward conduction mode, all the three junctions are in forward bias and there is a current conduction, and this mode is the forward conduction mode. And the BI characteristics for forward conduction mode is given here. So at particular voltage, when triggering is completed, then there is a current flow, and this current flow depends on the voltage application of BAK and BGK. The overall BI characteristic for SCR is given here for all the three operating modes. So in forward conduction mode, current conduction is here, and forward blocking mode, current conduction is here, and it is due to minority charge carrier, and sometimes it is called forward leakage current. And in reverse blocking mode, reverse leakage current is there. Breakover voltage and here breakdown voltage in reverse wise. Latch current and hold current. These are the two important anode current. So here the gate current at point A, here we are selecting 2 points, point A and point B. So at point A, the gate voltage is large, or we can say gate current is large as compared to point B. Here at point B, gate current is small, or we can say gate voltage is small. So when we apply a large gate voltage, then triggering is very fast, and SCR enters in forward conduction mode. If we are not applying any gate voltage, we are just applying VAK voltage, then at this voltage level, breakover voltage level, the forward conduction mode will be started. And once the thyristor is on, then after removal of the gate voltage, it never goes in off state. So tagging is required to just turn on the device. And for turning off of the SCR, we require some special circuits. Latch and hold currents are the anode current and requiring to on and off the SCR. So latch current is here, and it is the minimum anode current when SCR is on, and hold current is just below this latch current. So hold current is the maximum anode current where SCR is operating in off state. So both are related with anode current. And in reverse wise, similar to normal PN junction diode, there is a reverse breakdown voltage. If BAK is reached at BVR, then there is sharp current flow in reverse wise. DIAC, DIAC, it is another thyristor. DIAC stands diode alternating current. DIAC is bidirectional device. It means it works for both cycles, for positive half as well as for negative half. It generally used for triggering of the TRIAC device. TRIAC is another thyristor and DIAC is generally used for triggering the TRIAC, and it conducts after BBO in both direction. The symmetric arrangement of DIAC is given here, and in case of DIAC there is no cathode. Both terminals behaves as anode. So here we are simply saying this one is anode 1 and this one is anode 2. So N1 is close to anode A1 and N2 is close to anode A2. And the logical symbol of DIAC is given here: A1 terminal, A2 terminal, and two PN junction diode connected in this fashion. And BI characteristic for DIAC is given here. And DIAC operates when voltage across the anode A1, A2 is reached BBO or breakover voltage. Then it starts in conducting mode. That's why BI characteristic for DIAC is given here. And similarly for negative half, because it operates for both halves, for positive half as well as for negative half, because of this configuration. TRIAC. TRIAC is another thyristor, and TRIAC stands triode alternating current. So in case of TRIAC, there is a extra terminal as compared to DIAC, and this extra terminal is called gate terminal. TRIAC is also bidirectional device. So DIAC and TRIAC both are bidirectional device. It means both are operating for both cycles, for positive cycle as well as for negative cycle. While SCRs are the unidirectional device, because it conducts in one direction or it operates for one cycle only. It has many applications such as lamp control, speed control of fans, and it conducts when positive gate voltage is applied. The logical symbol for TRIAC is given here. This symbol is shown here. It is just same to the DIAC, having one extra terminal, that is the gate terminal. And we can design TRIAC using SCR. So here we are showing two SCR connected in this way. So that's why it can be operate for both halves, for positive half as well as for negative half, by using this specific configuration. And this one is the layer structure for TRIAC. So here we are simply using the concept of SCR. Two SCRs are connected in this fashion, or we can say the anode of one SCR is common with the cathode of second SCR. Similarly here, cathode of one SCR is the common terminal with the anode of the other SCR. And here we are taking anode 1, anode 2 terminals, and gate terminal is common for both the devices. And VI characteristic for TRIAC is also same as we have given for the DIAC. And here we are mentioning 4 points, and these are A, B, C, D, and it's simply showing gate voltage. So at point A, gate voltage is large. It means it starts in conducting mode very fast if gate voltage is large. And here gate voltage is low at point B. It means it takes some time. Similarly here for second half, at point C, the gate voltage is large. That's why it enters in conduction mode very fast. And gate voltage at point D is less. So here we are not waiting for the BBO voltage, we are just applying the gate voltage to enter this device in conduction mode. Unijunction transistor or UJT. So UJT has one junction, that's why it is called unijunction. And in UJT we have two base terminals and one emitter terminal. The structure of UJT is given here. One lightly doped n-type material from where we obtain two terminals, and these are base 1 and base 2 terminals. And highly doped p-type material is diffused here, and from this highly doped p-type material we obtain third terminal, that is emitter terminal. But this UJT is different from the other types of transistors, and this configuration cannot be used for the amplification purpose, because all type of transistors can be used for as amplifier such as VJT and FET. But UJT cannot be used for amplification purpose, it is used only for switching purpose, and it is unidirectional device. So emitter terminal is close to the base 1 terminal, and it provides the current conduction or asymmetrical configuration, and the logical symbol of UJT is given here: B1, B2 base terminals and E emitter terminal. So when emitter is open, when we are not applying emitter terminal, then the resistance between B1 and B2 terminals is called interbase resistance, and its value is always RV1 plus RV2. If RV1 is the resistance offered by base 1 and RV2 is the base resistance offered by base 2. And there is another important term, that is intrinsic standoff ratio, and it is represented by eta, and eta is always equal to RV2 upon RVB, or this one is interbase resistance. So eta equal to RV2 upon RV1 plus RV2, and its range is from 0.5 to 0.8. Emitter is close to B1, so that asymmetrical structure causes current flow. The UJT equivalent circuit is given here. PN layer is there between the emitter and base region. That's why we are showing a normal PN junction diode logical symbol here. Base 1, and here resistance is RV1. Base 2 resistance is RV2, and this resistance is variable resistance, and it depends on the value of applied emitter voltage. So emitter voltage is applied with respect to base 2, and voltage between base 1 and base 2 is VBB. So at this point the voltage is eta VBB by applying voltage divider wise, because eta VB is nothing, it is the voltage across this resistance RV2 resistance, and by applying voltage divider by, the voltage across this resistance is RV2 upon RV1 plus RV2 into VBB. So RV2 upon RV1 plus RV2 is nothing, it is intrinsic standoff ratio or eta. So here we are simply showing eta VBB. The operation of UJT is explained here. If B is less than BD plus BRV2, VD is nothing, it is the voltage across this PN junction diode. Normally, if PN junction diode is made of silicon material, then VD is 0.7 volt. If it is made of germanium material, then VD is 0.3 volt. So when VE is less than BD plus VRV2, VRV2 is the voltage across RV2 resistance, then UJT is in off state, because this normal PN junction diode is open circuit here. If emitter voltage is greater than BD plus RV2, then UJT enters in on state because this PN junction diode operating as a short circuit and it simply passes the current through it. So it is the on state of UJT. And if UJT is an on state, then temperature increases at RV2. That's why we are showing it is variable resistance value and it depends the amount of BE voltage. And when I apply BE voltage greater than VD plus RV2, then there is a current conduction. And the emitter characteristic for UJT is given here. There are three regions. One is cutoff region, second one is negative resistance region, and third one is saturation region. So this one is negative resistance region because resistance value is decreasing here. Then it enters in saturation region. This one is peak voltage and this one is valley voltage. So up to peak voltage, UJT is in cutoff region. Between peak voltage and valley voltage region is negative resistance. And after valley voltage, UJT enters in saturation region. UJT has negative resistance characteristic, so it absorbs less power during its operation. And it is used in thyristor triggering. It is used in controlling of DC voltage in the case of overvoltage detection and measurement of magnetic flux. UJT is widely used in relaxation oscillator and phase control circuit.